Hi again, Mark here from Talkingbass. So this week we're going to look at a single aspect of technique that can make a huge difference to your playing in many different ways. This is a lesson taken from the upcoming Technique Builder course. The course consists of two modules. In Module 1 we look at building a basic foundation in all aspects of your technique, and then in Module 2 we work through 60 different etudes that put all of these fundamentals into practice by way of a variety of different melodic and harmonic scenarios. These include a whole host of different scalar, arpeggio, intervallic and chromatic lines, as well as melodies typical of classical and jazz styles. The course is due for release in the next few weeks, so sign up to the channel and the Talkingbass website for updates. But for now, let's look at a quick lesson dealing with the importance of touch in the picking hand and the massive benefits it can bring with just one simple adjustment. Throughout this module, I've stressed the importance of learning to play lightly, but there's more to playing than just soft technique, so I'd like to expand a little on the importance of your touch in this lesson. First of all, yes, I definitely recommend playing more lightly in general, and I say this because many players opt to play fairly hard as the go-to default, and especially when playing tough lines, when everything gets a little more stressful and tension sets in. It's all too easy to tense the hands up when you're building up speed. But playing more lightly as your default style brings a lot of advantages to the table. First of all, you'll have more speed and stamina. When we play lightly, we're much more relaxed. Relaxation is the key to developing speed. We want minimal movement in the hands, and again, relaxation is the key to that minimal movement. And obviously, the more physically relaxed we are, the less strain we have and the better our stamina. As an example, here's a galloping bass figure typical of a player like Steve Harris of Iron Maiden. Now if I play that lightly, I can play it up to a high speed and keep it up for quite a long time. But if I was to play it hard, it's harder to reach the higher speeds and the stamina just falls off incredibly quickly. You just run out of steam really fast. Another huge upside to playing lighter is sustain. Many players try to increase the sustain of the bass while playing held notes by using compressors and other electronic tactics. In fact, the best way to increase sustain is to just play lighter and turn up the amp volume. When we play hard, we get the initial transient peak of the waveform as we attack the string. So when we play, we get that initial hit, and then there's a sudden drop off as the note drops to its regular decay. This is a problem because we generally set our volume based on those hard attacks. If we turn up the gain or volume while hitting hard, we're likely to overload the input, so the volume gets set to those attacks. The lower decay ends up being really quiet. But if we play softer with more volume, we don't have to worry about the attack, so the volume can be raised and we get a more consistent waveform with less drop-off on the decay. We're actually still getting the same decay that we had with the harder attack, but the increased volume helps to keep the note audible for longer. So hey presto, more sustain. Now obviously there's more to bass than very light playing. We want dynamics. We want to be able to create snappy accents and more attacking lines. We want to be able to create those little bursts. But this only comes from light and shade, which comes from your dynamic range, a wider dynamic range. If you're playing harder as your default style, you've got nowhere to go, so there's no contrast. By playing lighter in general, we can create more dynamic lines. So if I was to play through, give an extreme example, just running up a little melody, starting out very quiet, and then really bursting it out. If you're playing all the time with a very heavy accent, there's just no dynamics in there at all. The line sounds completely different. So as a general rule of thumb, it's much better to play a lot lighter in general as your default go-to, because you're going to have more sustain, you're going to have less injuries, and you're going to have more dynamic contrast in your playing. So it's a win-win-win all the way.